Do you keep ending up with the wrong people in your life? The most toxic relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship with a horrible person, or a business relationship with a partner, or an investment relationship with a coach or a mentor who's just giving you the wrong advice, doing the wrong things, and you've been there before, and you can see that it's happening to you again and again and again and again, but you simply cannot get out of it. Your brain doesn't work for you. As far as decisions are concerned, you're unable to make the right decision at the right time. Well, my friend, it's not them. It's you, and it's the way you're processing information. In this video, I share with you why meditations and affirmations and all these things simply do not work because of the way your brain is wired. I teach you how to overcome it, how to fix it, and how to start absorbing information and learning the right way to take the right decisions. Hey guys, my name's Yahya, founder and creator of Record Breaker, where I help you shatter past your highest revenue record months in the shortest amount of time. To begin with, let's understand the three sources that we are ready to take information from. The three sources that we learn from. The first source is life. Regrets, experiences, victories, defeats, anything and everything that happens in life is constantly teaching us. The second source, people, friends, family members, guardians, teachers, society, so on and so forth, as well as celebrities, the ones we like, the ones we look up. And the third source is resources, books, videos, YouTube, podcasts, all the sources that you use right now to take in information from and learn from the world. These are the three sources, but they're actually just one source, which is people. Whether it's experiences in life, inadvertently, we have experiences based on or around or off of people. The second part is people itself, all sorts of people, good, bad. Third source is resources that are developed and designed and written and created by people. So the YouTube channels that we watch, or the news that we consume, or the podcasts that we listen to are more often than not by our favorite person, our favorite podcaster, favorite creator, so on and so forth. So it's actually people that we're absorbing information from. We use three layers to determine which source we're going to absorb information from. The first layer is them, the person. Can we relate to them? Are they like us? Do we have a similar background? And this, my friends, is why all the internet marketers, the famous faces on YouTube that you see, there's a reason they dress a certain way. There's a reason they talk a certain way. It's to get you to think that they're just like you and they're selling you millions. Another reference that we use for these people is, who does this person remind me of from my past? Has that person been good to me? Keep in mind, every time you see someone who reminds you of someone who hurt you, you're very prone to not listen to that person. You're very prone to not absorb knowledge or information from that person because they remind you of someone who is horrible. So you cannot relate to them, and so you don't absorb information from that person. Layer number two, the piece of information that you're actually absorbing. Does it make sense to you? Do you like the information you're being given? You cross-reference your past to see, have I come across this information before? Does this information seem useful? But the real reason you're looking at that information is, what is the person's intent behind sharing this information with me? Do they want something good to happen for me? Are they trying to sell me something? Or do they genuinely have good interests and good intentions for me? And so we analyze it. How do we feel about this information? In the past, did it work for us? Have we tried the opposite of this? And how well did that work? And then the third layer, ourself. How can we relate to the information that's being provided to us? Do we think we are confident? Do we think we are capable of taking this information, applying this information, and doing something with our life? Now, whether it's losing weight through a special diet that someone's sharing with you, or it's building a digital online product that you're going to be selling, or it's romance, somebody you just met online, and someone they remind you of, and you think you might have a beautiful life with them. All of these things are going to be cross-referenced with your past, and you're going to be looking at things like, do I think I will be successful at this? Have I been successful at things similar to this in the past? Do I have a high enough pain threshold to continue this diet or this workout program? What is my frustration threshold? Because your frustration threshold defines how long you can continue to be frustrated while learning something without giving up. And this is why whenever you see something being marketed to you on the internet, it's going to be a low threshold that's going to be presented to you. Regardless of whether it's true or not, the same internet marketeers who are trying to make you feel that they're just like you are also telling you that you're going to be successful on day one. It doesn't require any effort, anything, blah, 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 blah. Why? Because they want you to understand that there's a very low frustration threshold. And so you should buy whatever it is they're selling to you. The last question that's going on in your subconscious mind, do I want to become the sort of person who buys this. Now, you could be buying an idea. You don't have to be giving money. Maybe it's something you read in a book and you decided to apply. And so you think, do I want to be the person who applies this? And what that means is it is habituated weaknesses that you are trying to protect. Let's say it's a business product or a business plan that's telling you that you need to work 2 to 3 hours a day. Can you consistently be the person who works 2 to 3 hours a day? Maybe it's telling you to do something that you dislike. Maybe it's telling you to make 100 calls a day. And you hate making calls. You hate interrupting people. Can you be that person to achieve that result? That's the question that's going on in the background. So you have 3 sources of information and 3 layers that you apply on top of it. Now let's join these and look at the big problem with this. That problem, simply speaking, is known as confirmation bias. Confirmation bias means whatever you believe to be true, your brain finds more and more proof of it in your surrounding. For example, if you're watching me and you think there's a lot of people who wear white shirts, you're going to find a lot of people wearing white V-neck shirts around you. If you're like Yaya's the exception, most people wear black, you are going to scroll away from this video and find a whole bunch of people wearing black. Maybe you're wearing black. Most people, by the way, prefer to wear black, which is my confirmation bias. So, what's the problem with confirmation bias? The first problem, the example that I gave about the internet marketeers, is that people leverage you, especially marketeers, leverage you based off of your confirmation biases. So they do their research and they find out what are the biases you hold about the world to be true, and they market to you accordingly. The other problem with the confirmation bias is that you're truly never able to absorb information from all sources. You're only able to absorb information from a very narrow source of only the people that filter and pass through your 3 layers, which means they have to relate to you, or you have to aspire to be like them. They have to sound believable to you based off of your past. They have to dress and sound the same way, and whatever information they're presenting to you has to not only make sense to you, but has to make you like it. It has to seem easy, right? And this is the problem. I'll give you an example. So about 8 to 10 years ago, I hired Jerry Ward to work with me as a fat loss coach. Now, Jerry was very different from me. He dressed very differently. He looked like a bodybuilder. I was a 9-to-5er back then. Jerry was always an entrepreneur. So there were lots of reasons for me to not want to work with him. And I didn't know any of this when I hired him. As Jerry's presenting me the information, we worked via email. Even his questions were in very simple language compared to mine. And back then, I was under the fallacy of thinking that if you use complicated language, you're a complicated person, which is absolute crap. A smart person is someone who takes a complex idea and distills it down into simple words for people to understand. I didn't know that back then. And I was like, do I like this person? Is this person reflecting the sort of person I want to be? And I thought about it. I was like, all right, let's take a break. Let's move on to the information he's giving and let's just try it. And then when I gave it a shot, it was mind-blowing. Jerry knew more about body recomposition, nutrition, fat loss, and all these things than anyone else I had ever worked with. He didn't look like a scientist, but he had a very scientific approach. Now, if I hadn't got my confirmation bias and disregarded it and continued to do what Jerry was telling me, I would never experience any of this. And that's how I developed the understanding that regardless of what meditations and affirmations and hypnosis you do, you could be the most cool, calm, zen person in the world. But if you have all these biases working in your head, preventing you from being uncomfortable, and it is uncomfortable to absorb information from someone you don't like, someone you don't trust, that you can reference off of. It is very uncomfortable. You are never truly able to absorb the information. Third problem with this, which is probably the most dangerous problem, is that because of our confirmation biases, we chronically end up in patterns of being attracted to the wrongest possible type of people that have significantly hurt us in the past. Whether it's a woman or a man that you're in a relationship with and it's the most toxic relationship in the world, whether it's a business partner or a mentor or a coach that you invested in who keeps disappointing you, doesn't give you what you need, it's your confirmation bias that on a superficial level attracts you to a type of person. And you're like, they're perfect for me. And then as reality sets in, you realize that they're exactly the sort of person that you promised, you swore you would never end up with or invest money with. And so every time a relationship goes south, we think the person changed. If it's a business partner or a coach, we think, well, their marketing was this, that, and the other, but they're a very different story. And then we jump on over to the very next person who's an exact carbon copy replica of the old person that betrayed us, and we buy from them. I'm sure if you're not one of those people, you have friends who've done that, right? Friends who always end up in the wrong relationships. Meditations and affirmations do not help this, because as you carry it around in your head, and you don't just carry confirmation biases about people around you, you carry them about yourself as well. I look bad in white. If I believe that, I wouldn't wear white. I am unable to do this. I am bad on camera. If I believed that, I wouldn't be making this video, right? I'm giving you examples about myself to explain to you how many confirmation biases you've got running in your head about you that stop you from being your full potential person, your best self. So now I'm going to share with you how I remove confirmation biases from myself and my clients. It's a 22-second method, doesn't require anything long or fancy. The first 5 seconds, every time you're exposed to information, the news, YouTube, people, friends, guests, colleagues, anybody, and they're doing something or they're talking to you or you're being presented something and you're like, this doesn't seem right. I don't feel like watching this or listening to this or absorbing this. Give yourself 5 seconds to become aware that you've got a bias running in your head at that time. Then take another 5 seconds to override it. And this comes with practice. It is not easy to override your biases. If you're used to going to the fridge at 11 o'clock at night and eating all that ice cream, and every time you go open the fridge, you're like, all right, I've got a confirmation bias. I'm eating ice cream because I want to, because my brain is telling me some sort of story about why I deserve to have it because I've had a long day, this, that, and the other. It is a bias. And then take 7 seconds to imagine the exact opposite of the bias. So if it's someone that looks like they're selling you snake oil, and they don't look the part and they don't resonate with you, imagine that they do. Imagine that for whatever reason, you don't like them, you don't trust them, you've had bad experiences like that. Flip it and be like, no, they're coming from a good place. They want something beneficial for me. Let me absorb this information. If you're being super attracted to the person, you're falling head over heels in love with that person, for 7 seconds, imagine the opposite. Imagine that no, all the signals that I'm being given are wrong. They have proven to be wrong in the past. I keep getting attracted to the wrong person. This is not true. This is not good for me. It is just my bias that's kept me stuck in a toxic pattern that's driving me towards this behavior. Initially, there's going to be major resistance. That's why I'm saying this needs to be practiced. But in 7 seconds, your brain will grasp that concept. It will focus on the exact opposite. And then take 5 seconds to actually listen to whatever is being presented to you and absorb the information transparently. No opinion about the person or the information, just the information. That is what makes a difference. That is how you truly absorb information. That is what I started doing in my life to actually learn from people I hated or I looked down upon or I just didn't think were worth my time. They taught me some gold nuggets. And for me now, it's more or less like default. The moment I realize I'm being biased, I stop. Whether it's a good bias or a bad bias, I become neutral and I absorb everything from that. I hope this has been useful. Try this exercise. Let me know how it goes for you. I'm out of here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.